Hi, my name is Brady Rolfes, and today I'll be talking about chain supplemented exercises. So what is a chain supplemented exercise? Well, according to Owen Walker, a writer from Science for Sport, a chain supplemented exercise is when an exercise is supplemented with chains. They cause a variation in load being lifted throughout the range of movement. We will discuss the effectiveness of chain supplemented exercises, the science supporting chain supplemented exercises, and the possible side effects of chain supplemented exercises. So training with chains is an effective way to build strength, speed, and power and velocity of the barbell. The following are examples on how chains do this. Chains reduce the barbell velocity during the later stages of the exercise or the extension portion of the exercise, according to Owen Walker. This means that the person lifting the weights has more control of the weights with the chains attached to the barbell. Also, according to Owen Walker, chains may increase the force production in the later stages of the exercises when using loads greater than 20% of somebody's one rep max. This forces the athlete to fully complete the repetition and get the full range of motion before starting the next rep, which allows for all of the muscles to fully complete the rep, and that will build, strength, power, and all of that because they fully complete the rep instead of stopping halfway, three-fourths of the way. Bobby Conn-Galton, a writer for Elite FTS, also states that training with chains has the potential to improve the velocity by strengthening the force-velocity relationship. This will create the ability to push through the sticking point of a lift when training. Chains create a downward force of an object which forces the athlete to push through when lifting. So say somebody trains with chains before they go for a one rep max, they will be able to push through that one rep max without the chains easier than, say, somebody who doesn't use chains to, lift prior to their one rep max. So science that supports chain supplement exercises, a study done by Kevin McCurdy and his associates focused on bench press of baseball athletes during their off-season period. This study had a control group of those who just use plate-loaded barbells versus those who use chains with the plates and the barbells. It lasted for about 9 weeks on an off-season program, and it showed not big differences in like strength improvements, but they did find some statistics that are interesting. Again, both groups were able to improve their strength, but the improvements were very similar to both the chain group and the non-chain group. Soreness after working out was slightly lower from the chain group at a mean of about 9.38 versus 10.57 of the non-chain group. The biggest difference, though, was the shoulder pain from the chain group. The shoulder pain was significantly lower for those who use chains. The mean was about 2.15. And those who don't use chains was about 6.14. So that shows that if you're playing a sport that heavily uses the shoulder, like baseball, football, a football quarterback, even any football position, because they all use their shoulders, you want to use chains because it doesn't injure the shoulder, or it doesn't allow for the shoulder to be injured before you have to use it when playing the sport. Some side effects of chain supplemented exercises. So chain supplemented exercises are very similar to free weight exercises like squat, shoulder press, bench press, because they are the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing, you just add chains on it. So the injuries are going to be very similar to that of an injury of bench press or squat or shoulder press. Overtraining could also be a factor in this. Overtraining could lead to a plateau, a flattening, a decrease even in performance versus an improvement of performance of if you train just perfectly. Also, according to Owen Walker, inexperienced athletes may not experience an increase of force production. And if these inexperienced athletes don't experience that, they might push themselves harder because they're not feeling the effects of it, which might lead to overuse injuries or overtraining injuries or injuries in general, like a shoulder injury, a knee injury, a quad injury, which is very bad. So really, you want to have an experienced athlete use chains versus an inexperienced athlete to prevent injuries. And you just want to be careful and follow the proper techniques when using chains, like you would do if you were just doing bench press, squat, shoulder press. Here's a sample program I created. I mean, it's very similar to a program that you would use if you were just doing plate loaded barbell exercises, because again, chains are just added to these exercises to allow for extension and control. So it's very similar to an program if you didn't use chains. So in conclusion, this presentation went through the ways chain supplemented exercises help improve velocity of the barbell, strength, speed, and power. And I believe personally that using chain supplemented exercises is a very effective way of training, especially if you're trying to go for a higher 1 rep max than per 4, because again, it allows for that push through and all of that, and that velocity of the barbell. But I feel like you'd have to be a very experienced lifter in order to use chain supplemented exercises, because you don't want that inexperience to injure you further. So are there any questions? And thank you for listening to my presentation.